Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Goldfish.
Boys.
My name is Seth.
I'm Candy, the guest for today.
Yes.
Sam. And I'm Elijah. You know me.
Yep. So first we had AJ, our first guest in the pod ever, right?
Yeah. What y'all think of him? He's a character.
Mm-hmm. We've also had Eve and Ellison.
Maybe. Ellison, yeah.
Candy, you're our new guest for
Hey,
the
yo.
Goldfish Boys in the Playroom 2.0.
Playroom 2.0. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm excited. Also, I find it funny how y'all tease me.
Bro's just airing out his dirty laundry.
Well,
What a crazy part to lead with.
top 5 most anticipated movies episode.
Oh, yeah.
That's what you meant.
Elijah mentioned me by name when talking about the Thunderbolts. So
I did.
So I think it's kind of like a funny way to bring me in.
Yeah.
I initially was teased.
Oh, you mean like tease your name? I thought you meant like how we tease
and
you.
now those that don't know me, or I don't know how many people watch this.
There are
but-
millions of viewers out there.
So many candy. Where can I start?
Oh my gosh. But now they can put like a face to name or something like
There you
that.
go.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, so Candy's our favorite Marvel fan. Candy, do you want to just tell us more about yourself?
Like Marvel in general, or just
Anything
me
you
in
want,
general?
buddy. Anything you could possibly imagine.
Tell me about yourself. Yeah, so Marvel.
Well,
Bro, start explaining Marvel.
well, I've known these fine gentlemen since high school. Elijah, I think all y'all, sophomore year?
That sounds right.
Sophomore year, that's when I joined our little group.
Mm-hmm.
And I've been here ever since. And I think I'm known as like the Marvel comic nerd in our group.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to bringing Candy on all comic book
We have to bring
related,
the expert on.
episodes.
Yeah.
This one.
Yeah.
He truly is our Marvel aficionado.
Yeah.
And it's funny. One of our friends, part of the group, I think Emma or Daniel, told me.
Friend of the pod.
Friend of the pod. Friend of the pod. They told me specifically that they try to sit next to me because I know everything, everything about them, know the actors, and get hyped.
So you give him a lore dump.
Basically, basically,
That's a pretty smart move.
Yeah.
And I think who is it?
Who needs Google?
It was either Seth or another friend of the pod, Matthew, that laughed at
Friend
me.
of the pod?
Yeah.
Friend of the pod, Matthew.
Because I reacted hugely for the Marvel's post-credit scene where who was it? Where Beast came out.
Yeah.
I was yelling, and I think the whole theater was silent at that. And then everyone
Well,
was
so now
poking
you can
fun
see
at
why
me.
Candy's on the pod and will be on the pod unless today.
Unless he sucks.
Then we'll can him.
Just for a little bit of context, for each Marvel movie, with our high school friend group, we take a massive group to watch every Marvel. Recently, we've had some lower numbers because Marvel sucks. But we used to have literally 35 people, and we still get some. Deadpool had like 30 people.
Bought out half the theater.
Yeah. So we always watch it at Palladium, and Candy's always a staple. He's always there.
Oh yeah. Well, I think I missed one.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think I missed
That's okay.
Love and
I'll forgive you.
Thunder.
That's okay. You
I think
didn't-
I
you didn't miss out
Yeah,
much.
I didn't miss anything. 'Cause I watched it in theaters, and I literally almost fell asleep. That
There
was
you go.
Sounds good. So this past weekend we saw the new MCU film that we're discussing today, Thunderbolts. All right. For me, the MCU has been a big part of my life growing up. Candy, how has it been for you?
It's been a big part.
Yeah.
I think I started watching it at the first Avengers.
Yeah.
Because when Iron Man came out, I think I was too young to care, basically.
Yeah.
So I remember specifically, my family took all of us to the midnight showing of the
Oh,
Avengers.
fun.
I was dead tired that day, but I loved it. And then my dad and I, we made it a tradition to go see in the first week or first weekend, and then eventually it evolved to going with our high school friend group. What was it, Eternals or No Way Home?
Our first one was Eternals, and then after that, the big one was No Way Home. But we did see Eternals first.
Yeah. What about you, Sam?
My connection to Marvel.
Yeah.
Just in general. Basic. I only really got into it when Infinity War came in and Endgame. So before that, I just had to catch up within a month to watch that movie. But that's my basic connection overall. Nothing too emotional.
Yeah.
But I think the movies before Endgame were pretty solid.
What about you, Elijah?
Yeah, mine's a little bit similar to Sam. So growing up, I saw a Marvel movie here and there, Captain America, Iron Man, the ones Kenny said. But in between Infinity War and Endgame, which was our freshman year of high school, I watched all of them front to back, which at that point there was probably 25 or I don't know, to
like a decent
23.
amount,
Yeah,
but nothing
it
too
was-
like
it was up there.
overwhelming.
It's basically phase 1 through 3 in between Infinity War and Endgame. So I watched them all, got my opinions, got my facts straight, and then from then on, I've just been watching them with our friend group. So I've seen every Marvel film except Shanghai, and I'll let you guess why.
Oh my God.
Whoa.
Is there
Alright,
is
well-
there tradition on every pod just mispronouncing a really important thing?
Like a weird. Accent.
I'm not gonna watch that one. That's where I draw the line.
I was listening back
Honestly,
to.
I feel like you should watch it in preparation for Spider-Man.
No.
Well, okay, I tried.
I was listening to the episode that I wasn't available on for Once Upon a Time in America, and in the first 5 minutes,
We should address this.
Elijah's calling Sergio Leone Sergio Leones. I was listening to it and I was trying to figure out where he got the S from, and I remember it's because in the notes I had it as like Sergio Leone's Once Upon a Time in America.
Yeah.
And Elijah read it as his name, so now I gotta address whenever I use a apostrophe S on any name, I gotta tell him it's not
Yeah,
part
clarify.
of the name.
You put us in charge of the pod. You know what's gonna happen.
You know, that's gonna happen, right? I was honestly surprised that I got it that close. 'Cause, like, Sergio Leone. I mean, I said it 4 times, and I'm pretty sure each time I said it a different way.
That sounded
So,
right to me.
pretty close. I'm pretty
I feel
proud.
like you've been known for doing that, just messing
I
easy
have.
stuff up.
Yes, I do mess things up.
Especially
All
with
right.
weird names. Yeah.
So, with that context, I'm glad that we're getting into this because I remember when I was growing up with the MCU, like before I got into more like cinephile or auteur type films, I was following the MCU and comic book movies very closely. Like I remember listening to a lot of podcasts discussing like theories on the latest Marvel films or what they think post-credit scenes or certain announcements were about, right? And so now we get to finally talk about it on our own show, right? Mm-hmm.
exciting.
Before we dig into Thunderbolts, let's go ahead and go to our parking lot segment with our friend Aiden. Let's go ahead and pull up the footage where we caught his initial reactions to Thunderbolts as we transition into talking about the film itself. Let's say hi to Aiden. All right, guys, this is the parking lot with Aiden. Initial
All right, y'all.
reactions.
Let me give you the rundown.
Okay, here we go.
This is the first time at the Palladium. We did not mess around. We had Thunderbolts
No,
on the mind. Okay. We gave it a solid
And there's, like,
7.8
8 beers in.
because
Oh, okay.
we enjoyed the plot. It was a very
Not
thought
sober.
out, methodical, and I enjoyed the hell out of it. I was shaking in my boots. I could feel every time the void got like shadowed someone. You know.
Yeah.
Like, I was like,
You hear that, Matthew? You
bro,
felt
that little girl, bro. Like, holy
Whoa!
You did not hear
No
that.
spoilers in the parking lot, Matthew.
Okay,
No
okay,
spoilers in the
okay.
parking lot. All right, thanks, Aiden, for the breakdown.
Yeah, I got you.
Is he just walking off into the
I
sunset?
wanted to watch the nurse.
All right, so that's Aiden's review of Thunderbolts. I think out of our friends, we had a mostly positive reaction, which is much needed for Marvel. Let's get into it, though. Candy, thoughts? General opinions on Thunderbolts?
So initially during that night, I ranked it a little high. I think I said like 8.8, 9 out of 10.
Okay.
It's fallen a bit
Goodfellas.
for me now that I've had time to like mull on it, because I feel like some scenes were a little bit too long, which I'll talk about that more in the
Oh,
once we get to like the spoiler part.
nice.
But it's like dropped from that to probably 7.8, like Aiden was saying.
Sounds good. Sam?
So, overall, I thought for an MCU movie, this one was pretty good. Like
Yeah, I agree.
the recent MCU movies, but that's not saying a lot, considering most MCU movies and shows have been kind of way below average. So this one got a 5 for me, and I think that's a pretty solid. Like,
Yeah, that's interesting. 5 is kind of. You mean 5 out of 10?
5 out of 10.
That's kind of low for what I've been hearing. But in my opinion, this was the best Marvel movie that I've seen since Guardians 3. In my opinion, I don't think that's a hot take, there might have been.
I'd
one
have
or
to
two.
agree with you
I
there.
remember we were discussing it that night, differentiating between Guardians 3 and Deadpool and Wolverine.
That's right.
I think I said Deadpool and Wolverine, and I forgot if anyone else said that. But also, I think it's because for me, I'm like ingrained in Marvel history. Like I literally went on a binge of all the Fox movies one year.
Yeah.
Even the terrible ones, like, oh gosh, Fantastic Four with Michael B. Jordan.
Oh no, we got a hurl from Candy. You know it's bad. when
Shots
you get that.
fired.
So I feel like that that movie was more like up there for me, because both are honestly up there. It's just like it flops for me, you know.
Yeah, I feel you. Seth, what were your overall thoughts?
Okay, so I think we could all agree that Marvel's been very rocky for the past few years. I remember coming out
really?
I remember coming out of Brave New World, and I was just like, these aren't even finished movies anymore. Like, I was like out of that, and I was like, I'm not even invested in it. I don't really care about it that much. I remember I was thinking about it after the Thunderbolts screening, which was very positive. I mean, the audience clapped and everything, and I was like, this is what Marvel used to feel like. Like, I remember when I went to Marvel movies and I was excited about them, and I walked out looking forward to the next one. I feel like that like spark has been lost over these past few years, where it's like a new Marvel movie's announced and we're like, oh gosh, like another one of these, like this looks like garbage, or like, are you kidding me? And I feel like for me, Thunderbolts, it's not like spectacular, it doesn't blow us out of the water, but for me it was a nice film that was reminiscent of Phase 1 and Phase 2 of Marvel, that just felt like a solid, competent comic book movie, where it was like there are real humans in this movie. The comic book characters are actually something that people can get invested in. Like, I think one of the biggest things that Marvel has had was, for example, with Guardians of the Galaxy, those are not household names when like that movie was announced, right? People were like, who are these guys? And then by the end of the franchise, they're some of the biggest comic book characters of the past decade, right? And I feel like even with the big names that Marvel has had, they've lost that spark with its audience. They've lost that trust. And I feel like finally with Thunderbolts, with characters that I have never even heard of before the MCU, like Ghost or like
who is that,
Yelena,
bro?
right? I was watching. I'm watching Yelena, the successor of Black Widow, and the Red Guardian, who I'd never heard of before Black Widow.
Never heard of them.
And I'm like, I actually kind of care about this, and like it feels like early Marvel again. So to me, it was a good return to form, and I handed it. I think it was a good movie.
I think one of the ways they differentiated it is they're not particularly focused on building up the world. They're focused on building up the character. Because I feel like with Captain America, it was focused on tying stuff together with like
politics,
Tiamat Island, and bringing in all the Incredible Hulk stuff. Which aside, why not make an Incredible Hulk movie instead of Captain America?
Totally.
Because all the characters in there were Incredible Hulk based, not for Sam Wilson. But also, with these, you don't necessarily have to watch material beforehand. Like you said, you didn't know who Yelena was or Red Guardian, but I felt like they still established their characters in a way. Like, you didn't need to watch Black Widow in order to understand them. Or one of my favorite things is John Walker, U.S. agent. You did not need to go over to Disney Plus and watch The Falcon and the Winter Soldier to
understand the movie.
To understand him and see what he is.
Yeah.
I mean, you could watch it, and that would just like add on to his character. Because honestly, he's one of my favorite characters next to Bob.
Yeah. I do like great point. I like how you can tell like each character brings in their own baggage, but we don't necessarily have to like unpack all of it. Like we kind of have that like for us there. Yeah.
Oh, so you said that you hadn't seen any of the Marvel shows, but you had seen Black Widow but forgot about it. Oh, well, since we're on this topic, this is actually something that I'd maybe like slightly disagree on as someone who has seen all the homework material before Thunderbolts, because I would describe it as, for viewers that are like wondering like what do I have to watch, it does pull characters from mainly Black Widow and the Falcon and the Winter Soldier series, right? Like it follows Yelena and the Red Guardian after Black Widow, and it follows was Valentina Allegra de Fontaine introduced in that Falcon show?
Yeah, she was. And I remember at that time everyone was freaking out because of what her character could mean.
Yeah.
And I think I honestly was freaking out too, but I didn't tell anyone because wasn't it during COVID?
Yeah, so it has those two characters from Black Widow, and then the villain and John Walker, the U.S. agent from those shows. And as far as the exposition went in the film, at least like the biggest weakness for me is that I could feel that the movie doesn't expect the audience to remember or know about this material. Like the characters do kind of explain themselves like pretty upfront to the audience,
especially when they're all like all together. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. So like we could definitely dig deeper as we get onto spoilers, but aside from Black Widow and Falcon and the Winter Soldier, that's pretty much like what the movie is following up.
Yeah, along those lines, like whenever the movie came on, and there was like a rip-off Captain America, and of course not seeing the series, not knowing anything about John Walker. Is that his name? John Walker?
Yeah.
like I was like, oh great, another like Red Hulk situation. I know it's in the comics, but like in my opinion, just the regeneration of a different version of a character that we have so many movies on, I was like, oh great, like this is going to be same old Marvel. But you're right, like that felt refreshing that it wasn't that. Yeah.
Sam, any other general thoughts?
I feel like there was a few things in this movie that you would need more context on, because I had no idea who Valentina was when she showed up. I was like, who is this politician, right? And same thing with John Walker. They explained him a bit, right? But there's like relationships he has with people that isn't explained. So you would definitely need some more context behind it. So that's like one thing I kind of disagree with.
For the viewers, Candy just took a handful of fish and just held it like this, held it like above his mouth, and just shoveled goldfish in his mouth.
And it's all gone. I already ate
I'm
it.
pretty sure this might be the fastest we've ever gone through a bowl. I think
I don't
Candy's gonna
think I'll
plow
eat it
through
all.
this stuff. You should see Candy at our family movie nights. I
have the
ask him, I like offer the popcorn bowl to him, and next thing you know, he grabs the bowl. He's just like chowing down.
Okay, no one's gonna eat it, so I might as well.
Good point. Good point.
That was
Candy.
funny because the discussion was getting real serious there.
Yeah, light it up, eh?
or,
I thought we were about to fight.
or what I thought you was gonna mention is my popcorn
Your popcorn?
at the movies.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Okay, so for context, my dad, he is obsessed with the popcorn at Santiago's Theaters.
Who isn't?
Like he loves it.
Yeah.
He brings a second bucket every time, so we can bring two refills.
I forgot about that. That's crazy.
We can
At the
bring
end of
2
every
refills.
movie, Kenji's like, okay, guys, I gotta go get a refill and bring it to my dad.
Yeah, and literally, first thing he asked me if he's awake when I walk in the door, he's like, "Did you bring me popcorn?"
Just imagining Candy's dad doing that. In
So
bed
if
is
we want
hilarious.
Candy's dad on the pod, we have to have popcorn then.
Now,
Yeah.
has he tried the whole trash can popcorn thing?
Crazy.
Trash can popcorn.
So what you do, like I'm on a budget, like I got the kids to feed at home.
Bills.
So what you do is like I'm not trying to spend $20 on a popcorn and a drink. You go in the trash can, find a good one, find a good empty popcorn, empty soda, right? Go to the area and use the napkins, wipe it out, fill it back up.
You kind of scored on
Honestly,
this
I
last
think
movie.
my dad
I always
would rather die than do that.
Really?
He's not a germophile, but he likes being clean, and like the stuff he eats with.
That is so
being clean.
weird, dude.
Couldn't relate.
That's weird.
Oh yeah. I just get it straight out of the trash,
Yeah.
All right, sounds good. We got some Candy dad lore there for us.
Yeah.
We'll definitely clip that for the short form.
Oh, yeah.
For the reels and the TikToks.
They'll love it.
Yeah, I'm sure Matthew Belkin will throw in some nice comments for us.
Friend of the pod.
Yeah, friend of the pod.
It'll go. That's the one clip that will go viral. Me talking about my
We're
dad.
getting so many name drops on this pod.
Yeah, probably we're making a record here.
We got
for-
Emma, Daniel, his dad. Who
Yeah.
else?
For each pod, I send a link to whoever we mentioned, just so that like it gets them involved.
Yeah.
And like
so you're gonna send a link to my dad? You don't even
We're gonna
have
have to
to
make a whole group chat now.
I'll slide in his DMs. Yeah.
I'm just gonna start listing names.
All right, so that's those are our initial spoiler-free thoughts on Thunderbolts, the final film in Phase 5. Are y'all ready to head
Oh,
into?
that's the final film.
Yeah, this is the final film in Phase 5.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Besides
Oh shoot! Kenny's supposed to know everything about Marvel. What have we done?
Fantastic Four doesn't count.
What was that?
Fantastic Four doesn't count.
Fantastic Four is the first film in Phase 6.
Understood.
See, now that's
Okay.
confusing. Fantastic Four, and it's Phase
It's
6.
six. That doesn't add up.
Call it Fantastic 6, bro. Right, Kenny?
No.
Explain that for me, Kenny. You know everything about Marvel.
Mr. Expert.
Well,
What's it called?
it's always 4.
All right. Okay.
Maybe Fantastic 6 will be another time. We'll get that just for you. So
Honestly,
Oh.
it could be Fantastic 6.
Who would you add?
No, because
'Cause right now there's 3, right?
because Sue Storm has twins in the comics, so
Okay.
so they technically become the Fantastic Six
the
with
Fantastic Twins.
with
Then we're good.
with those
Load that thing
twins.
All right. Well, we'll look forward to the Fantastic 6 pod in a couple months. Any last spoiler-free thoughts before we get into it?
I think we're good.
No.
All right. So let's go ahead and dig into the spoiler territory. So from this point on, if you have not seen Thunderbolts, go ahead and watch it. I think all of
Leave.
us agree that it was pretty good. Unless you want to hear Candy's spoiler thoughts.
Spoiler!
We don't have the soundboard yet.
Yeah, without the soundboard, I'm still working on it. We're just going to have Elijah do all the sounds for us. Thank you, Elijah.
Yeah, no problem. I got you.
All right. Candy, is there anything that you want to dig into straight away? Well, I'll take a look at my notes.
Mel.
Oh.
She was an unnecessary character in my opinion.
Oh.
Mel. Oh yeah, the assistant.
Yeah, the assistant.
Okay.
Because I feel like you could put that commander dude, whatever his name is, the one that got murked in the helicopter.
Yeah.
I feel like you could have put anyone in her shoes, and the story would pan out the same way.
I think the main point of her character is that it gives Valentina like an exposition dump to talk to.
That and to show that she's
Yeah.
controlling.
Yeah, because all their conversations just actually her character works in two ways. One, Valentina needs someone to like spit to like explain everything to the audience, and then the whole subplot with Bucky working as sort of like a senate or a senator that's doing like
a congressman
thing, like kind of
yeah,
like
or
working
whatever he is.
under like in the dark.
Yeah.
Is part of that. Like you don't get to see Bucky kind of like doing stuff he's not supposed to as a congressman, without him kind of like trying to get the assistant over to his side, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I get that then.
I think we should have just had her suit up. You know what I mean?
Valentina
Yeah.
Well,
or
honestly, people are theorizing that she'll be a hero in the comics.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Like which one?
It's like her name is Mockingbird or Songbird or something like that.
Oh.
A woman superhero?
I know. And
That's been done before.
I know. It's gonna be crazy.
I like one of Elijah's characters in the pod is this really dated Republican.
I'm just stealing straight from my grandpa.
Sam, anything you want to dig into?
spoiler wise.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there was a one. So the Red Guardian.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like he didn't need any exposition out of all the characters. He was just a loving dad.
Dude, I feel like the movie really comes alive when David Harbour comes in.
Yeah.
Totally agree.
Right
Yeah.
when David Harbour drives in and picks them up, from the whole point on, the movie's on fire in terms of chemistry. Like, there are like many things that we love about these Marvel films, and one of them is like the humor, the chemistry, and sometimes it's a double-edged sword because sometimes when the humor goes too far, is the movie's over reliant on the humor. We're like, why is it undercutting the stakes? Why is it just making fun of itself, right? But I feel like finally with this movie they really land that tone, and the character of the Red Guardian was just so lovable.
It wasn't like he was
great.
interrupting or making a joke to like interrupt the tense situations. That's just like his personality, and he would like use it properly. I feel like
Elijah.
Yeah, I think this is not necessarily spoiler stuff, but what made this movie good to me, that I thoroughly enjoyed it, was definitely like the characters. We have like
Bob.
several actors who can hold their own. David Harbour is one of my favorite actors because of his stuff in Violent Night and Stranger Things, of course.
What about Equalizer?
He's great too. Yeah, he's good in that. He's one of my favorite. And then Florence Pugh, she's been kind of on that Chacho's diet. I don't know if y'all
Wait,
saw
which one
that.
was Florence Pugh?
Florence Pugh is
Yelena.
Yelena, okay.
The rest of them, I do have
I
a.
like how we've got sexism and fat shaming from Elijah so far.
Don't get me
Covering all the
started on
bases.
Which I'm not fat shaming or anything,
Oh.
but this is a fun fact that I found out while I was researching for this episode.
Okay.
Uh,
Oh, you did some research?
yeah, Florence Pugh went against Marvel's wishes and shaved off her whole head.
Really?
Like she did several things
Shaved
that,
or cut her-
like cut her hair.
Cut her hair
Okay.
short.
She did several things that Marvel did not like. She cut her hair for one, and she insisted on doing the stunt in the beginning of the movie.
Yeah.
Like they wanted to cut it out completely, Kevin Feige.
Yeah.
But she said, "No, I'm doing this."
The stunt? You mean like the whole lab scene?
The scene where she jumps
Where
off
she
of the
jumps
tower.
off the-
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
that's
that
a
was her.
dip into the inside scoop, but that's the stunt where she's jumping off the second tallest building in the world, and that's actually her jumping,
Interesting.
which is pretty cool.
Huh, I feel like.
Reminds us of
yeah.
us.
What's up?
Reminds us of me and you.
Me and you, yeah.
And stuff. Yeah,
Of course.
Sorry, different
From the-
different plane.
Yeah, different plane.
Yeah, I feel like if anything, like what can revive Marvel to me is if we get these like good performances. Not gonna lie, with all the comic book stuff, I've never read any of that. I don't really care what the storyline is. I care about what I see on screen in terms of like performances, and I think if Marvel can like redeem themselves with stuff like this, like I'll be happy. I'm not asking for some like amazing plot line. If I can just get good performances. But I do have to say, I thought Julia Louis-Dreyfus, whoever that is,
Valentina.
say her name. Yeah, her. Dude, I thought she was awful in this
Yeah,
movie.
she was not good.
She was really cold.
Really?
You thought she was awful in this?
Yeah, me too.
For real?
Yeah, she was
That's
flat.
crazy.
She was so flat to me.
I think she was great.
Well,
in
I,
this.
Really?
I think
Yeah.
the
She
was
flatness
such
is
a-
what,
Plain character.
Have you never heard of this actress?
Oh, I've seen her in
Okay,
a lot.
okay,
Yeah,
okay.
I've seen her in a lot. She's great in
Yeah.
other stuff. I saw her in No Hard Feelings and of course Black Widow, Wakanda Forever. I thought in this like she was really flat, really dull, and I didn't like her vibes.
I don't think she's a bad actor. I think it was just the character they gave her.
Like,
Yeah.
I'd have to like hard disagree on there.
really?
I think she's
How
like
come?
I think she brings like a different energy because obviously she's not like a physically imposing villain, and she's
course.
kind of like the anti Nick Fury, which is like the foil that I like that her character brings. Where
Sure.
Nick Fury's like the more traditional leader that we think of, who's unifying all these people that don't want to work together because they come from such different backgrounds. Whereas Valentina is like playing chess against these people that are like way more powerful than her and kind of manipulating them until the very end. Where I mean, we could argue that she like kind of softly wins the movie, which I just think that she brings a cool energy. But
I feel like I have no issue with her role, like with her character.
Yeah.
I have an issue with her performance in the fact that
Really?
like, to me all her
oh, so Sam,
dialogue-
you don't like the character?
I don't like the character.
Oh,
So
okay.
Sam doesn't like the character. You don't like her performance?
Yeah. So to me, it just felt stale, cold. And, yeah.
I agree with you. Her performance was like one of the lower ones, but because everyone else's was so high.
That's true. That's
Like
true.
Lewis Pullman as Bob. Oh my gosh,
He was great.
He
was great.
is one of my. He was. I think this may be a controversial take.
Okay.
He may be one of my most favorite actors that Marvel has brought in, like in this new saga.
He's a new actor
along
in
with
general,
Oscar
though,
Isaac,
too.
Florence Pugh,
Yeah.
all those. Those are like have been some of my favorite performances. Not of all time, but for this saga, for the multiverse saga,
Yeah.
it has been one of my favorites. Like
Interesting.
the difference between him, Bob, Sentry, and the Void, like he played all of those perfectly.
Yeah. He was great.
Yeah. So I'm glad that we were able to dive into the performances. As far as big picture with Thunderbolts and how it fits into the MCU, we have tracked it. The Infinity Saga, I think, was nothing short of like a legendary achievement, whether or not the movies were your thing. The way that it marks and changes cinema as a whole, right? And then we enter this new phase post-Endgame, as we all know, very rocky. With Thunderbolts capping Phase 5, where do y'all think it just fits in as far as the relative to the past and what it says about the future of Marvel?
Capping, I feel like it was an okay ending, right? Like it didn't exactly make up for everything in the past, right? But it sets us up for a lot more. I feel like this whole new team, kind of like the whole Avengers thing, it's rebuilding that. We're gonna have a whole new threat to deal with, and this group of people to, manage that. And also, Elijah was saying that the first part, the Infinity Saga, right? The first MCU part, you didn't have to read any of the comics, right?
I did not.
But
I can't read.
but
I don't know how.
it was understood perfectly. I feel like you didn't have to watch any or read any of the comics for the first part. For the second part, I feel like you just need so much context. Yeah.
I feel like this is kind of the Thor Ragnarok of the multiverse saga.
Interesting.
Oh.
I'd have to disagree with you, but go ahead, continue on that point.
Because both are solid movies that take characters that some people know and like kind of shift them a little. And
That's a good point.
and it also sets up like the big movie near the end, because with this one it's setting up Doomsday,
Yeah.
and with Ragnarok it set up Infinity War. So I think it's kind of like that, but there's also some like distinct differences with Ragnarok and Thunderbolts. But I feel like what I say their aura is kind of similar.
I could see your point there, and I could definitely see the similarities. But when watching Thunderbolts, the movie that I was definitely thinking of was Guardians of the Galaxy, because
Really?
they're both anti-hero team-up films of lesser-known characters,
Yeah.
showing a completely different direction than the rest of the films prior to it. Thunderbolts, as far as the filmmaking goes, they marketed how different the crew that they hired was for this.
yeah.
With
Yeah,
all
hard.
all crew members that had worked on A24 films, which I gotta say that really stood out. Like this looked like a real movie. They shot on location. The visual effects weren't like awful.
Yeah.
There were some shots where I'm like, this does not look like a like the lighting just looks legitimately great. So on that front, it's similar to Guardians of the Galaxy, and it has the like banning together of anti-hero characters that are lesser known. So that was kind of the one that I was thinking of. What about you guys?
Great point. Off the bat, of course, I'm not as into Marvel as like Candy is, but off the bat, to me, it gave like Eternals vibes. Clearly, this is a way better movie than Eternals, in my opinion. Just the fact that it's unknown characters that I did not know about, and that I get to kind of learn their story as we go. That's pretty much the only reason why I got Eternals vibes. What do you think about that, Candy?
No.
Okay, how come?
Because Eternals, I'm not saying this cast is star-studded, but there's like some who's like not well known. Eternals was marketed for its star-studded cast: Angelina Jolie, Salma Hayek, everyone else, Kit Harington. But this movie, it was more showing for the characters rather than the actors themselves, which is what I really appreciate about this. Because Eternals, you kind of expected an amazing performance from all of their actors, for all the characters, which I felt like kind of fell short.
Agreed.
Especially like Selma Hayek. They heavily underused her. Like, that is such an amazing actress, and you kill her off, 10 minutes into the movie?
Stupid, man.
versus
Who's
what they
making
did
the
here.
shots at Marvels nowadays, man?
It's still Kevin Feige. But honestly,
sucks.
I don't think it's his fault with how everything came out, because they recently released a press interview where he literally said he was so stretched thin that he would get back to people about like some stuff to change, and it was too late to do that.
Really?
Yeah. Well,
I heard about that too. Yeah.
Well, I mean, they were making like 5 shows, 3 movies a year.
Sure.
He was like stretched thin, and he was like just really doing those decisions to appease the new leadership at Disney. But they're trying to course correct now.
That sounds like you on the set of Sleeves.
It really is. Yeah. Guys are reshooting everything.
So what do y'all know about the director of this movie?
Jake Schreier. He was the writer director for Beef, which I didn't watch, but it had glowing reviews.
So,
Beef?
dude, Beef is one of my favorite. Yeah,
Dude,
you
I need to watch it. No.
I haven't seen Beef.
It's,
It's
it has
so good.
Steven Yeun?
Yes.
Yeah, dude, he's a great actor. I need to watch it.
That series is one of my favorite series that I've seen recently. So what does he have any what else has he done other than Beef?
So I actually haven't seen anything from his filmography, but what I was hearing was that he also works with characters that are double-sided or have huge levels of baggage that they're dealing with, which seems to be very much in line with the themes of Thunderbolts.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah.
Yeah, so he was kind of the perfect director for this.
What do you think about that stuff, though? The baggage, and because I was sitting next to you at the movie theater, so I heard you just in the middle of some dialogue scene go, "Oh, come on!"
I actually wanted to. This is the topic that I wanted to get into next. Yeah. Not specifically on the dialogue, which we'll get into later, but I want to talk about. I was asking about like similarity or how it fits contextually with the other MCU films, and aside from Guardians being like another ragtag team of misfits, I was thinking of this plot-wise. It follows Black Widow and Falcon. Would you agree with that, Candy?
Yeah, I would say so.
But I think as far as function as a film, I see it as almost like a follow-up to Deadpool and Wolverine, in the sense that in Deadpool 3, that film definitely feels like an apology letter to fans, because it directly addresses the failures of Marvel's Phase 4.
Yeah.
Like the movie Deadpool 3 feels like a mockery of what we've done. And Deadpool's like, I'm the savior. I am Marvel Jesus. I'm going to fix everything. This is how we're going to do it. Would you agree with that?
I would say so, but also adding on the Fox movies.
Yes, exactly.
Like how they kind of went out, not massive firework explosions, but just like the light flickering down, especially with like their last few releases, like Dark Phoenix. I didn't even see that in theaters. I knew it would be bad.
Yeah. So with Deadpool, I was thinking of it. I was like, okay, so Deadpool 3, in terms of this like Marvel redemption arc, like Deadpool 3 is about like an apology for what we've done, right? And it's like trying to signal the course correction for Marvel, like that actually we can still do this, and that's kind of what that movie is signaling as it makes fun of Phase 4. And right from the opening of Thunderbolts, with the themes of like I don't know where I'm going, like I don't know who I am, like I don't know what I'm doing with myself. It definitely feels like Marvel trying to find its way to accept itself again, because it's as far as the themes of the Thunderbolts, all of them have things that they've done in the past that they don't like, which signals like Phase 4 of the MCU and the mistakes that Marvel has done. And it's Marvel finding a reconciliation back with itself. Like, it's okay to not be okay. So I just felt like that was a cool way of the film working in a meta commentary against the universe itself.
Honestly, Yelena's first monologue could follow what you're saying.
Yeah.
Especially when she says, or maybe I'm just bored. Could kind of signal like the Marvel fatigue everyone's feeling.
Yeah. And I think that's what makes it really poetic for them to be like the new Avengers, because all of them are like, man, we suck. Like, I'm not this. Like, you're like the fake Captain America. Like, we suck. And it feels like the fans like talking like, man, this is like, y'all are washed. Like, this is garbage. Like, it used to be so nice. And literally in the movie, you see what used to be the Avengers Tower is taken over by Valentina. Where Iron Man walked in the first Avengers movie, you're seeing like Valentina's there with Sentry, who's this like very corporate and like inauthentically composed superhero, which feels like the way that fans feel about the Marvel films. And it's them saying like, actually, we can accept this now. Like, we can accept who we are, as they go off into like the new Avengers, and like they're trying to create an identity for themselves. And I just feel like that as a send off for Phase 5 just is really satisfying, because it's like, yeah, we're not how we used to be. Like, we actually do suck, but like
they're working towards getting better.
Exactly. Like, we're just gonna accept it and keep going. And I just think that that's a beautiful way to like give a hug to the universe and give a hug to the fans, that we could still do this. It's just, that's what I was thinking about.
That's a very good like way of saying it. I didn't really think about that, because I'm not gonna lie, like whenever the title sequence came on screen that said the new Avengers, I was thinking like I didn't like it, because it's just another redo, you know. But that's a very interesting way of putting it, and a very like, I think it is beautiful, like the way you're explaining it. Like, yeah, that makes sense.
Go ahead, Candy.
Well, yeah, I agree with Elijah. But talking about the new Avengers, what they're doing recently with the marketing, like changing all the posters and everything, I think it's terrible.
What are they doing?
So they're basically reposting every like poster that came out for Thunderbolts
as New Avengers,
with like it being peeled away with a white background and New Avengers being displayed over Thunderbolts, which
you don't like that?
I say it's too soon, because this movie's barely been out.
That's a good point.
A week.
Okay.
It just came
they're
out.
already spoiling their like major twist that's only apparent at the end of the movie.
Interesting.
I think it is also like a marketing stunt, even if it's not. Even if it like, oh man, I didn't know that it was going to be a New Avengers thing. I think that they've been hinting that with the asterisk though this entire.
Oh yeah,
time.
everyone's been wondering like, oh, what's the asterisk? What's the asterisk?
Yeah.
The asterisk is interesting, because I noticed that too whenever I saw on Letterboxd. I was like, well, what does that mean? But that makes sense.
Yeah.
What did y'all think about, I mean, speaking of like Marvel branding and marketing, like this movie's marketing, did it feel smaller to you guys than like Captain America Brave New World?
Yes.
Like
I
way
feel
smaller?
Like all Marvel movies have been like slowly getting smaller.
Okay. I agree.
Ever since. I felt like the biggest one as of recent would probably be Deadpool and Wolverine.
Okay, yeah.
Absolutely, yeah.
But every other one has been just like slowly decreasing.
I think it makes sense too, because I wouldn't, if I'm like Marvel's marketing department, I'm not shoveling half my budget on, if I have Captain America 4, Thunderbolts, and Fantastic Four coming out this year, I'm not pouring my bucket into Thunderbolts. I think that they've done, my favorite thing that they've done so far is they're really daring. I've mentioned this to y'all, the Absolute Cinema trailer, where they just like, well, yeah, we're actually trying in this movie with the crew member decisions. And obviously that's going to ruffle feathers with cinephile audiences and comic book going audiences kind of like on opposite sides of the spectrum. But yeah, it has felt a lot smaller.
Yeah, that was like interesting to me, because like clearly this was like a drastically better movie than Captain America Brave New World. And I get like probably a 7-year-old who's going with their dad, they don't care how they probably thought Captain America was way better than this, right? Because like it was more entertaining, they saw more characters that they liked. But like if it were me, like if I would pour a lot more into something that I'm proud of if I were Marvel. But yeah.
It's also it's big Disney, so what do you know?
Big Disney, you know it.
Yeah. So as far as like that, do y'all feel like Marvel's back? Like that's a question that we ask every time, but what do y'all think? Sam?
No.
I feel like they're.
He's like, no.
I was like, no, and then puts the.
He's like, not even close.
I feel like they're on their way.
Okay.
They're not necessarily back now. They're like starting to regain trust, but they need to.
That's so important.
They need to like put out more good movies, which I think the slate we're set for. Fantastic Four, Avengers Doomsday, Spider-Man Brand New Day. Like, if they hit all these out of the park, I feel like then we can truly say, oh yeah, Marvel's back.
What about you, Elijah?
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I mean, but did Marvel ever really leave? No, I'm just kidding. That was a good. Definitely. No, I mean, like,
Multiverse of Madness. I love you in every universe. I literally cringed so hard whenever he said that.
It's funny though, because like I have literally talked to some people that are like, Marvel is still their thing. Like they're really into it, and they refuse to admit that all this stuff was bad, which I think is crazy.
Well, I think that's crazy because even I'm like a mega fan.
Yeah.
And yet I'm still willing to admit, we've had some misses.
Yeah.
Like She-Hulk, Miss Marvel.
Oh, that's a second grunt from Candy.
Sorry, feminists.
That's gonna be added to the soundboard.
Sorry, feminists, but that was terrible.
I'm just thinking about like probably less than a year ago, we were watching the big egg face in Quantumania.
Oh, MODOK.
And then like last Friday
Oh my
night,
God,
we were watching
egg
like an
face.
actual competent film that was like not memeable, and I think that's like really impressive.
I would have to agree. Like, it's not completely back, obviously, because you can't be like, we can't get one good one and then say, oh, we're so back,
Yeah.
we're officially back. But I was thinking about this and I was like, okay, we say we're so back because like we've had a lot of disappointments, but I think with the discourse still being alive, I feel like you could argue that it's never truly left in the sense of like where it stood in the culture, because even though we say like, oh, this is bad, I think it's truly left if we're not even talking about it anymore.
Sure.
And the movies are still
relevant.
Yeah, they're still relevant. But as far as a quality standpoint, I think it just signals that they can still do it. I think it would have been a huge loss if going into Fantastic Four that they hit two huge, just like garbage films going into their big Phase 6 entry. So I think it's a huge win that this movie was even competent to begin with.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
I hope that Phase 4 and 5 are the lowest that Marvel ever gets, if that makes sense. Like
I hope so
it's
too.
up from here.
Yeah.
Okay, let me pose like a hypothetical. In a world where like capitalism and money and the want to make more money doesn't exist, do you wish that Marvel stopped making movies after Endgame or Phase 2 or wherever? Draw the line and say, okay, Marvel's done, for the sake of telling a story and completing it, and it's good, and not doing this.
Candy, you seem like you have an answer. You can go ahead.
Well, it's difficult to say because Marvel has been going on like comic wise for what, 70, 80 years. And they keep finding like new ways to spice it up and everything. Like shifting universes or doing like this big universe reset. So I think it would be hard to say, I want you to full stop right here.
Sure.
Especially if we're going like, oh, what if they stopped after Endgame or something like that? They set up stories for the future, like Sam being Captain America, Hawkeye exploring his grief, Scarlet Witch exploring her grief. So it would be truly hard to find like a relatively stopping point unless you do like a whole, oh, everyone's dead universe imploded. Because in this universe, there will always be villains, there will always be heroes, so it would be difficult, I would think, to find one.
Yeah. Sam, what do you think?
I feel like they should just keep going. I don't think they took the right route, clearly, right?
Yeah.
But I feel like if they slowed down, try to like focus on the quality of it, then it would have been way better just in general. But not stop.
All right.
What do you think, Elijah?
Yeah, I mean, I think like Kenny said, it's hard to say, but like I just think of when we talk about like people calling it good after a certain amount of movies, like making a series of films and then being like, okay, this was good, I'm not going to ruin it with more sequels. I think of that as like, that would be nice if Marvel did that. I'm not saying Endgame is the perfect movie to go out on. I'm just saying the concept of like making a certain amount of movies and being happy and content with it is nice. It would never happen with Marvel because it's Disney, big Disney,
Well, with Secret Wars, it's been theorized that they'll do a full universe reset, and that'll allow them to recast like certain members, like Iron Man, Captain America,
Yikes.
Black Panther, R.I.P.
R.I.P. Chadwick.
I think that's a tension with because we're basically talking about is that Matthew Milliken? Sheesh. Hey, buddy.
Friend of the pod.
That's
Friend of the pod. Hey, Matthew.
I think I saw Malachi.
I think that's a tension of the whole Marvel experiment, because the reason why Marvel was so special before was because we'd never seen a cinematic universe like it had been done before. Like we had seen like trilogies and series where each movie was sequential to each other, but we hadn't seen like crossovers or shared canon at this level. And at first, like I remember when 2012 the Avengers happened, that's like the first time that has ever happened. And that was like an amazing thing. And then now we've exhausted this format to where now it's not and not so much a blessing, but now it feels like a disease, that it's diseased all other franchises, and it's become an opportunity to milk everything. So now everything's trying to become the MCU. The monster films, the Universal monster films are trying to become the MCU. The Kingsman's trying to become the MCU. Everything else is trying to become like this shared universe, and it's become annoying. But I think there's still like a beautiful thing in that format to bring together individual franchises.
Sure.
So I like that they never ended it, and we still got good stuff. Like, I'm not gonna act like Guardians 3 was bad. I'm not gonna act like No Way Home is a really fun theatrical experience. I would agree with Sam. It's just the way that they used the format was different than the Infinity Saga, because they used that to bring together a huge story on a scale that we've never seen before. With this, it feels like they've tried to milk every corner of the universe. Candy, it sounds like you have something to say.
Yeah, and I agree with you on there, because with the Infinity Saga, Thanos was set up from the beginning. At the end of the Avengers, he was set up, and everyone knew that it would eventually lead to him. But with the Multiverse Saga, well, first we had the switch up with Jonathan Majors and Kang.
That was a big blow.
Yeah, I felt like if that didn't happen, I feel like the Multiverse Saga would be more lined up akin
It wouldn't be
to
as broken.
Infinity War.
Yeah.
It wouldn't be as broken. Them having to recast their main villain of the whole entire saga halfway through really put them in a tight spot. And I feel like they're trying to get that back, especially with the post-credit scene in this one and the post-credit scene in Captain America. But I feel like they're going the wrong way in Infinity War did. Because in Captain America, it's literally the guy just saying, "I've seen it. Something's coming. Something's coming."
Yeah. Go ahead, Elijah.
Speaking of the post-credit scene, can we dip into that?
Of course.
Okay, so Candy, as our guest, what do you think of the post-credit scene?
It was strange.
Okay. Interesting. I was expecting you to be more hyped about it.
Yeah.
I don't get me wrong.
Whoa, whoa, buddy. Calm down there.
I am hyped with the implications of what it shows,
Uh-huh.
but the whole like everyone's saying, "Oh, it's gonna be the longest post-credit scene ever," when essentially only the big showing moments were the last 30 seconds, and meanwhile the rest of it was just them doing the same banter we saw throughout the whole movie. It's kind of a bit odd to me, because everyone and their mother I've heard saying, "Oh, this is going to be the longest one. We're going to be so set up for."
Are you talking about the next Avengers film?
Yeah, for the setup for Doomsday with the Fantastic Four ships coming in. It is amazing, like what it's setting up to be. However, everyone's putting hype on the wrong stuff, because everyone was hyping up that this would be the longest post-credit scene ever in the Marvel universe. But what we basically got was 2.5 minutes of what we were used to with this film, and then half a minute setting up the next movie.
So what is, as a question for someone who doesn't know anything about Marvel, what is this setup?
So with Doomsday, I think what they're going to go to is the Fantastic Four. People are thinking that they will fail in their movie, and they will eventually.
I've heard that theory. I think it's true too.
They will eventually like go off world, try to find a new world, and they eventually get teleported to the current world, the one where everyone else is. And with their meddling, it'll also bring in the old X-Men universe. And they will pick sides between Loki and Doctor Doom.
Gotcha.
And they will eventually clash on that.
Okay. Interesting. Thanks for explaining that.
What'd y'all think of the post-credit scene?
Oh, me? I love the post-credit scene. So I think the Red Guardian did a great job, and he really made me want to get a box of Wheaties. So, or are we talking about a different one? I feel like.
Oh, I think we're talking about the.
No, I know.
Sam just really liked the first
Sam
one.
is joshing.
The Wheaties was the first, right?
Yeah,
And
it
the
was.
important one was the second one.
No, the important one was the first one.
Yeah. Depends on who
Sorry,
you
go ahead,
ask,
Sam.
right?
Yeah. Honestly, it was just a lot of banter for the most of it. Then it just
The big Fantastic Four.
Fantastic Four ship literally plastered on it, telling you what's coming next. I didn't have like too many thoughts on it. I was like, okay, that's what's coming next.
Elijah?
That's exciting. I mean, I don't really. Thanks for the clarification, Candy. That's all I.
I have some thoughts on this. So I was reading up on this, and it was originally filmed for Avengers Doomsday. So what y'all saw was a scene for Avengers Doomsday.
Okay.
I've heard that the Russo brothers directed it, right?
Yes, exactly.
Not Pixar.
So that was a scene from Avengers Doomsday, and they used it as post-credit scene instead, which I think that signals a couple things. One, I don't like how the movie looks. It looks like another. It just
Wait, what?
the post-credit scene.
Okay.
So, what, you don't like their costumes or like the set in general?
I don't like how the lighting looks. I think I just think it looks bad. But aside from that, it's interesting. Like seeing a post-credit scene for the first time, at least for me, it felt like in a while that we've watched one, and it just felt like it at least kind of mattered, because I feel like before with these recent Marvel films, the post-credit scene has really also garnered like a pretty poor reputation. Would you agree with that, Candy?
Okay. I would say so, honestly, because most of the post-credit scenes have been jokes.
Yeah.
Like Doctor Strange's, the second one, what was it? What's his name? Bruce?
Springsteen?
No.
Bruce Almighty? Bruce Jenner?
Bruce Springsteen will return.
Where
Stop me whenever.
it was just
Bruce Bowen?
him going like, "Oh, it's over," and then just cutting to black. Or even this one with the whole Wheaties joke. It was funny, don't get me wrong, but most post-credit scenes now are not used to set up something. They're used for comedy, just to like add in a little bit of spice near the end of the movie.
I keep on thinking, this is like totally off topic. I keep on thinking about the post-credit scene with Harry Styles in it.
Oh my god!
Like, what was up with that, and where'd he go, and why don't we have a movie?
He's
with
in
him?
Fantastic Four.
Really?
No.
All right. I thought that they might.
Listeners out there, that's how you know the state of the pod right there.
Honestly, it's been reported that the Eternals will never come back.
The Eternals? Was Harry Styles in that?
Yeah, that was the
That was post-credit.
That was
scene
a
for
post-credit scene
Okay,
with
gotcha.
him.
That brings that's a good segue to my next topic that I want
You're
to bring up. Because when I was watching Thunderbolts, right, we discussed this. I was like, okay, Marvel doesn't even expect them to know these characters, and like that's valid. I don't think I was imagining like the mom who's bringing her kid that likes Marvel in, and she like has probably seen like 7 of the movies, and then you got to explain the characters. Like you just kind of have to, because it's bringing together like 5-6 characters that a lot of the audience has not heard of, either because they're not major fans and they're not keeping up with every single piece of IP, or they've lost trust in Marvel and they didn't want to see Falcon and Winter Soldier. They didn't want to see Black Widow, right? So Marvel doesn't even expect you to know them. And to me, it felt like a signal of one of Marvel's biggest issues as a universe. In the Infinity Saga, it felt very controlled, in a sense that when they all unite, it doesn't feel like you're in a maze of characters. Whereas with the Multiverse Saga, even for just the measly like Thunderbolts, which is a very humble part of the franchise, the movie is like giving you a background history lesson as best as it can in the middle of a movie, which is not a problem that I felt like it's had. So do y'all feel like Marvel has a problem? Did y'all see that as a problem in Thunderbolts? I just feel like that's something that they're gonna have to deal with. But what do y'all think, Candy?
I would say it's definitely a problem that needs to be addressed.
Yeah.
Because like they
spread too thin.
They did most of their exposition with comedy, which I liked about that, because some of the times people would just do it with just an exposition dump as a whole, but I felt like they did good with this. Like even dollar store Captain America or I was Captain America, but only for like 3 days or something like that.
That was funny.
I felt like they did good on that, because it wasn't like a chore to get through. Because I feel like the Marvels, that was a chore to get through all of the exposition to get to the final story. Especially where they're like, "Oh, where'd you get your powers from?" I got it through going through the Scarlet Witch.
Yes, like writing like that is really rough. Like to zag on you on that point, Candy. Like for me, my least favorite parts of the movie was when they were bantering and they're like, "Oh, you don't have it as bad as I do. Like I went through A, B, C, and D," and then, "Oh, really? Well, I went through A, B, C, and D."
It's like lazy.
Yeah,
lazy
and
writing.
it's like, I mean, what else do you do,
Sure.
right? I mean,
Yeah.
like you're gonna expect half your audience to not know who Ghost is, right?
That's the issue.
Did y'all feel that because I know that y'all two didn't have like a relationship with the like material leading up to Thunderbolts, right?
Yeah. Did we feel like it was?
Did y'all feel like it was doing that, or did it just feel normal?
It felt like that at the beginning, but of course, like you're saying, they have to do it. I didn't feel like it was like over the top, to be honest. I thought it was fine. I felt like they did an okay job of doing it. I wasn't super opposed to it.
What do you think, Sam?
I feel like they did a pretty decent job explaining everything, even though there's a lot of like excessive bloat. I feel in the Marvel because there's an overwhelming amount of stuff to watch and shows, movies to be caught up with. I feel like they kept it pretty contained.
Yeah, I think at least once it gets going though, you just takes off, right? Would y'all agree with that?
Agreed.
Yeah, I agree. One of my favorite jokes was actually with Red Guardian and Bucky, where they're like, "Oh, what sort of super serum did you get?" And Bucky's like, "Oh, I got Hydra," and he goes, "Hydra,
Yo, we gotta save."
We gotta save.
That was funny.
Dude, can we talk about like the chemistry of this movie? Just actually felt on fire. Like I thought Red Guardian was just carrying the whole movie. Who was y'all's favorite stuff?
Bob and Red Guardian.
Yeah. What were you, Sam?
Yeah, definitely the Red Guardian.
Yeah.
My favorite character.
Yes.
Yeah.
Or
that theme.
That is what I talk about, or something.
Yeah. Honestly, him and the girl
Yelena, Florence Pugh.
Like I thought that was a great chemistry. Have they been anything together? Do y'all know?
Black Widow.
Black Widow.
Oh,
that's
I
it.
forgot about that. Yeah. Again, I do not remember that one.
Dude, honestly, I love how they let the Red
I'm
Guardian
getting fired, bro.
A normal comedic character have his like big acting moment. Like when Yelena stepped in the void and you see him like literally scream, try to get to her. That almost got me on. I'll be honest. That got me to well up a bit.
Yeah. And the other side of it, like, because Marvel always goes for a lighthearted like tone, right? But I think the balance that they went with and kind of nailed in this movie, even though it gets a little cheesy, is that with all the jokes, they're not reduced to joke machines. Like there are characters in this universe where they just get reduced to like joke, like line spitters, right? But both Yelena and Alexei still have very sincere and down to earth moments, and they still feel human. And the stakes are never destroyed for the sake of a laugh. And I think that's something that also Marvel has needed for a while.
It's a banger.
Yeah. How did y'all feel? Do y'all want to dive into? Actually, before we dive into Sentry the Void, I just want to also discuss like a part of the reason why I think the Marvel has the bloat problem is also because of how expendable they see their own characters. Like everyone was really hyped for Taskmaster during Black Widow, and then I was reading that they wanted to kill off Taskmaster because they felt like the movie didn't have any blood spilled in a grounded like non-cosmic film. They're like, there's no blood spilled in this. There needs to be consequences, and they had zero pushback on killing Taskmaster, which I felt like as a character had a lot of potential in terms of combat and in terms of their powers, and just had a cool backstory. And they just like see one of these characters and they could just ship them off super easily. Yeah. Did y'all feel that in terms of like their sudden death?
Yeah, I feel like that, and especially listening to plans they had for Taskmaster. Like while here or a couple of days ago, now while driving here, I read that they would have a recurring joke of Taskmaster having memory problems and forgetting that they're a team now, and they would constantly be trying to kill John Walker.
That's funny.
And I felt like that would be awesome, and the fact that they killed her off so early in the film
and so easily, like without remorse. They were really like, oh well. And it's like a character that they had spent time on, and a character that one of the main characters has a relationship with.
Yeah.
I also hate how Yelena had barely any reaction.
When I was talking to a friend of the pod, Richard, and he said the same thing. He was like, we were trying not to spoil it for a friend who hadn't seen it.
Yeah.
And he was like, I was surprised that they killed off who they killed off in the first 20 minutes. That was crazy.
So it's definitely a discrepancy between like comics and the adaptation in terms of Marvel reacting to the audience. The reception for Taskmaster was popularly very low. Like everyone was like, "What the hell is that?" Right? So I think it's just interesting to see how like Marvel is so bloated that they could just kind of like flick off characters. It's just a funny observation. Let's speaking of villains, shift over to Sentry / the Void. What did y'all think about that character?
I loved Bob.
Yeah.
Yeah. Lewis Pullman pulls in such an amazing performance, balancing the meek Bob, the confident Sentry, and then the straight evil Void. especially the one scene near the end where Bob is literally beating the Void into the ground, and he's just looking at him smiling. That was amazing.
Yeah. What do you think, Sam?
I think he had a good introduction, like a very good character, first impressions for everybody. They still need to do a lot more with him because I feel like by the end of the movie they reduced him to like more of a not, I wouldn't say a joke, but less of a presence. So I just want to see them do more with him in general.
Sure. Elijah?
Of course, having no like knowledge of who that was, I thought, like you're saying, Candy, especially at the beginning when he's just like a normal dude, he's like quiet and shy and all that. I think he really impressed me like right then. And then, like you said, up in the tower when he turns into whatever Sentry, is that what his name is?
Sentry.
Like, it's like, whoa, that Bob was my favorite performance of this film.
Oh, yeah. Wow. Interesting.
Yeah, he was great.
I think I understand why they made Bob forget like his time as Sentry in this movie, because he's like the most overpowered being right now.
Yeah.
And it would be kind of bad to bring him in straight into Doomsday because he could probably honestly murk everybody.
Yeah.
But I kind of wish they kept some knowledge of him. Like the reason they stated for him not using his powers, I think is solid. But I just wish they would allow him to keep some of his memories instead of him essentially forgetting everything he did in the Thunderbolts.
Yeah. As a villain, I really liked him. I think that it speaks to an interest that Marvel has had for a really long time now, which is like they like to reduce their gods to children. Like that's a habit that Marvel has had. They like that with Thor and Hulk, where they like to reduce the most overpowered beings in their universe or in their canon into the ones that are also the most innocent. Like they went this route with Thor in Endgame and Thor 4. They went this route with Guardians 3 with remind me,
Adam Warlock.
Adam Warlock is literally a kid in a god's body, right?
Yeah.
And I think them doing it again here in Thunderbolts felt maybe like a little bit repetitive, but I think what redeems that is that they are trying to paint him as like another member of the audience who's just another kid who doesn't really know what they're doing with their life, and they have all this deep pain and then are seeking acceptance. And like that's like, I'm not gonna see that that's a bad way to tell the Sentry story. It's just I just thought that was an interesting way to paint that god.
Honestly, this interpretation of Sentry way better than the comics.
Oh yeah?
What happens in the comics?
So in the comics, Bob turns into the Sentry while trying to search for drugs.
Drugs?
He
Like what type?
basically thinks the
Cocaine.
serum.
Cocaina!
Cocaina!
He's like fentanyl or something?
Yeah, yo.
He thinks he just randomly breaks into a lab, and the serum he takes that turns him into the Sentry, he just thinks it's regular drugs that he can get to get high. But in this one, he voluntarily signs up for it because he wants to do more than he is. So I think that adds a huge bit to his character that wasn't there with his original origin. And honestly, what they're doing with Avengers Tower, the Watchtower, way better than the comics. Because I don't know how, but everyone essentially forgets the Sentry is a real person and like that he exists. But somehow at the same time, he exists, and his Watchtower exists in the same plane as Avengers Tower.
Oh, okay. And in the comic books, this is all the same person, right? Bob, Sentry, and Void.
And the
They're all
Void.
the same person?
Yeah,
Okay.
they're all the same.
Okay.
Yeah.
Man, this is the stuff that I need because like, I wouldn't know this
And
stuff. If it
I
weren't for you,
love
Candy.
how they, instead of like making the Watchtower always be there, exist on the same plane, they're having it being built over Avengers Tower.
Yeah, that is cool. I think like when even the lady who I didn't like,
Valentina.
Yeah,
Yep.
Valentina. Yeah. Whenever she's like even talking about the history and the significance of that building, I was like, this is pretty cool. I like that. So
Yeah,
thanks for that, Ken.
I like how, as far as like the Watchtower goes, I like how that's kind of the movie, like looking at the remnants of what has like been left behind for them, like the pieces, like the Walmart Captain America and the new Black Widow, and it's the movie kind of like, this is what we got to work with for the next one, and it's the movie's job as at the end of Phase 5 is to convince you to want to keep watching these people, because this is like you're watching everyone that has been handed the torch in this movie, and if this movie bombs, it's like then it's the new Avengers team is as a group of people that the whole audience does not care about. So I think it being a success is just huge.
This is what I want to know. What was y'all's favorite fight scene?
Thank you, Candy. Candy's reading my mind. I was gonna talk about this next. Yeah,
Candy.
My favorite fight scene. So it's not. Oh, y'all heading out? Oh,
Hey, what's up, friend of the pod?
hey guys.
Friends of the pod?
Ellison and
Ellison
Matthew.
Matthew.
My favorite fight scene. Oh, okay. So I think one that stood out to me, and it's not my favorite one, but it's in the very opening, and it's mimicking the hallway shot in Iron Man 2, where Black Widow's taking out all the agents.
Oh, yeah.
And it's Yelena doing it, but the shadows and lighting just looks beautiful. And I like how you could see that Yelena's like barely trying. It's like she's like sleepwalking through it, and it's her talking about this monologue about how Marvel doesn't know what to do with themselves anymore, right? And they're getting bored. But my favorite one was when the camera was locked onto Sentry, and it's all the different heroes just coming at him with all their different powers, and Sentry's just bulldozing through them. I'm like, this is a good fight. Like this is a good like action scene. Finally, like it's. I like how it displayed all the different powers, but also did it in a cool way as far as filmmaking goes. What about y'all?
I totally agree. Like those are the two that stood out to me, especially the Sentry one.
Yeah.
I was like, this guy is the dude. Like that kind of established Bob being my favorite character, the Sentry being my favorite character was like that scene. I think that was great.
What about you, Sam? Oh, sorry.
Well, Sam can go.
Yeah, go ahead.
All right. Really, only one stood out to me, and it is my favorite, and I did enjoy it. Was the Bucky one?
Yeah.
When he, shows up on a motorcycle
Heck yeah.
and just takes down the 2-3 other trucks chasing them.
Yeah.
One thing it really reminded me of was Terminator.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. The
Oh,
shotgun
yeah,
flip.
especially the
Heck
shotgun.
yeah.
I thought that
Okay.
was a reference. I wasn't entirely sure when
Absolutely,
he, cocks it with just one hand, still right in the
He does
motorcycle.
what?
Aiden me and Aiden locked eyes right as he flipped the shotgun, and Aiden just looks at me and goes, "That was badass." And we both turn to the screen and just keep watching, like eyes glowing. Candy?
Yeah.
Honestly, probably Sentry or the Bucky one, because
Yeah.
I just love how they show Sentry as a big force none of them can get
Yeah,
through.
man, that was awesome.
Especially like him just easily taking them down with one hand each. Especially when he what he does with the Alexei when he throws him out the window, brings him back and throws him into the wall. That was one of my favorite ones. Or especially when he easily bends John
The
Walker's
shield. Yeah, I like how he still has the shield bent.
Yeah.
Truly a Walmart Captain America.
14 months later, and he still doesn't get it fixed.
Yeah. Not really a fight scene, but one that I like, a moment that stood out to me in terms of like the combat or the action was when there's a civilian like in danger, and Alexei like goes in and like saves him and like stops the thing.
Oh.
And I was like, I don't remember the last time I've seen I don't remember the last time in a Marvel movie where I saw like just a hero save a person, because we've been doing all these like cosmic multiverse stories, and I remember like that was a normal thing, like in Avengers, like you'd always see them saving civilians all the time. So I was like, oh, like this is like what a hero is. Like it's nice. It's a nice reminder, and it's a nice like return to form for Marvel, literally going back to the roots. Like we can still be heroes. Like this is what it looks like, and as we apply,
Like that just felt like Thor saving a pedestrian.
Yeah, that
Which is like Avengers. Like
that whole sequence was amazing.
Yeah.
How it shows them all branching off to just do their due diligence and save people.
Yeah.
That was amazing, but then it's capped off by one of the craziest things I've ever.
Yeah. It felt very reminiscent. It felt very reminiscent of.
For the listeners, Candy just spit out some of the goldfish that he just shoveled down his mouth.
It felt very reminiscent of the New York one shot in the Avengers 2012 when it shows all the individual heroes doing their thing and saving lives. And I like how in this movie also, I believe in New York, where they're going all around like showing their power, saving everyone, and it wasn't a one shot, but it all ends in them like lifting the thing, and it does the one shot on them, kind of like in the original Avengers film.
Yeah.
And I just like that as like a referencing itself.
Speaking of that shot, the little kid getting murked.
That was crazy.
Crazy, bro.
Dude, that I don't know if you heard me, but I laughed.
Yeah, we heard you, Candy. I think everybody heard
Whole
you.
theater.
I think you remember from the first Avengers the shot of them in the diner eating.
Yeah.
To me, that what's up?
The
Which one?
Yeah.
The shawarma.
At the
Yeah,
at the end.
yeah,
That's the scene. Yeah.
To me, the post-credit scene where they're just like shooting crap,
Yeah.
like that felt like that to me. Like the new Avengers are just hanging out.
Yeah. Kenny is really a true goldfish boy.
Sorry, I'm eating.
This is the goldfish boys of all goldfish boys.
Mm-hmm.
This is crazy.
I'm showing up the very own Goldfish Boys in their podcast.
Yeah, you are.
Were y'all surprised by this movie at all?
A little bit.
A little bit, yeah.
Well, what about you, Sam?
A little bit, yeah. It did better than I thought it would be. I had very low expectations going in.
Yeah. What about you, Elijah?
It's pretty much what I expected. Like,
yeah?
I thought it was interesting. It was better than I expected, of course.
Mm-hmm.
But I had already heard that it was like decent compared to the stuff that's come out before. So, not too surprised.
Candy?
Like, I expected it to be good because of just the stacked cast they have.
Mm-hmm.
So I knew that even if the story was terrible, we would get amazing performances out of all these actors. But the story being amazing as well kind of shocked me.
There are some things that definitely surprised me with this film. I mean, it just like it did. The trailer did like the movie did live up to the trailer as far as what the movie was or the trailer was trying to say about the quality of the film. The biggest surprise for me easily was the way that they did the characters going into the void and the film going into like the memories. That was like I was expecting the film to be very grounded, and it was, but it went into a different route as far as like visuals, where they're like running in their own memories and running in their trauma, and like the way that it visualizes them healing from their baggage. That was definitely something that like you wouldn't see in like the Phase 1 films, where those are like definitely more straightforward traditional movies where you know what I mean, like where they're all like stuck in the void and all that inside there was like not cosmic, but definitely supernatural. I wasn't expecting that.
Speaking of the void, do you wish we saw the other characters' void stuff like Bucky, Ghost, or Red Guardian?
I was happy with what we saw. I felt like we got the gist of like what was going on. Like I didn't feel like we need to have that for every character.
Yeah, I agree. I did like the way that they showed that visually though, with like him beating himself up and all that. It was cool.
Dude, that one line where he's like, "I'm sorry, I was on meth."
Yeah, I do remember that.
That was funny.
Yeah, he's a meth boy. Yeah, Sam was writing down notes. Sam always has a character in a movie that he likes to like idolize, like look after. Who is that for you in this?
In this movie?
Yeah.
Definitely had to be a Red Guardian. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I think we all idolize him.
We are a team. We are a team.
We are Thunderbolts.
What ethnicity is he?
Russian.
Russian.
Because he's supposed to be the KGB version of Captain America.
Okay. All those rough accents sound the same to me.
He's got a weird accent.
Could've been Romanian.
And we mentioned this earlier, but I do feel like Steven Yeun would have done a great job as Sentry if he was able to do it.
Steven Yeun, yeah.
Yeah.
He's a great actor.
Speaking of beef, yeah.
I feel like he would do great, but also I feel like some people would find a way to complain that he sounds too much like Invincible. With it being this popular right now.
Mm-hmm.
So I wish he could have done it, but I'm also kind of glad he didn't, because that would be like another big baggage thing the Marvel haters would put on that.
Interesting.
This guy who played a Sentry, he's not in like too many films, right? He's kind of a new actor.
What's his name?
Louis Pullman.
Louis Pullman.
He was in Top Gun Maverick.
Oh, he was.
wasn't that.
Yeah.
Okay. What role was
Guess
he?
what character he played?
What?
Bob.
Top Gun? Oh, Bob.
Yeah, he
Really?
played the fighter pilot Bob.
Really, 2 Bobs. He's doing good.
And
as
then
Bob.
he was. I don't know if y'all seen this, but The Strangers Pray at Night.
I have not.
That's
That's what they call me though.
It's a pretty decent horror movie. I like to say, it's more on the action side, but his performance in that movie was pretty good.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah. I feel like Steven Yeun would have made the film like a lot more serious in terms of like the like playing that like traumatic aspect of the character of Bob, because Steven Yeun brings definitely like a different energy than like what Louis Pullman did as Bob, because he basically is playing like a dozed off teenager in the first half of the movie. But yeah.
Before he does his big like flying scene.
Yeah. Before we head into our last category, any other like thoughts or opinions?
I kind of know what his powers are, but I don't exactly know what Sentry does. I know he has super strength, kind of telekinesis, right? Because he breaks the water, throws that one guy out the window. Super strength, flight, and that weird void thing, and could not read people's minds, but go into their like state of mind.
Yeah.
So
Sentry basically has everything, except for like standard Superman stuff, like the freeze breath or the laser eyes. He has telekinesis. He can read people's minds, like you said. He has a strength of 1 million exploding suns, they said.
Bulletproof,
all that. And the Void, he has all of that too, but he also has like reading people's minds, bringing out their inner thoughts. And one of the aspects I wish they would adapt, the Void can take on any form. Like he doesn't need to be an exact shadow of Bob.
Okay.
He even like changed into this giant spider creature in the comics ones.
That's interesting.
Interesting.
Anything else you want to hit, Elijah?
Yeah, I'm ready for that last one.
Yeah. Okay, Andy.
No, I'm good.
All right. Just to send us off, who are we all from this movie looking forward to view for the upcoming Marvel projects, or just who do y'all want to see?
Oh, Red Guardian for sure.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, Red Guardian.
Sam just loves Red Guardian. For me, it's to see if the girl can redeem herself. The one that Dad didn't
Valentina?
like. Yeah.
I like how she as if she's thinking about you during her next movie.
Yeah, no, she's thinking about me. No, I mean, like, I'm interested to see what she's like in the future.
And like what role she kind of plays.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Honestly,
Or maybe on like a second watch, because I do plan on rewatching this soon. Maybe my opinion changes. We'll see. You know.
I know they tease this, but I'm excited to see Sam and Bucky's like
Ooh, the tension.
interaction.
Yeah.
Because I know they mentioned it in the post-credit scene about him not being happy with them being the new Avengers. So I'm excited to see like what problems that could bring.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's good.
On the Valentina aspect, I did think that at the end of the film it did feel like kind of tacked on. Like during that press conference scene, like I feel like you could think of ways to write out that character, but like you could feel like, oh, this is the way that we're going with this as far as like the new Avengers, like the accidental rebranding, right? I do like the idea of having like an anti-Nick Fury though, so I think that'll be cool. And then obviously Yelena and Red Guardian are just gonna be fun. I think that's gonna be like a good nice duo to follow for the next like non-cosmic.
That should
projects.
be fun. I think we have a lot to look forward to.
Yeah.
Yeah, honestly, the whole team dynamic is amazing in this film. So I'm just excited to see how they expand on it, especially with interacting with new characters like the Fantastic Four
And the Fantastic Six.
the classic X.
It's gonna be good.
The classic X-Men too.
Yeah. With your point earlier about like fatigue with Marvel characters, I felt the same way as far as like, are we really gonna put this much time into Hawkeye 2, like Hawkeye
Yeah.
Girl and like
Kate
Hulk-
Bishop.
Yeah, and and like all these like other versions of the characters.
Yeah.
But I think for the first time after watching Thunderbolts, I'm kind of like actually a little on board with it. Where I'm like, I kind of like the second Black Widow. I kind of like the new.
I feel like it's because like they have their own thing, right? Like
Exactly.
it's like, sure, you can have someone who's similar, but like give them their own story, give them their own like uniqueness. And I feel like these characters, probably because of the strength of one of the reasons, because of the strength of the actors, they feel like their own character.
Absolutely. So I think this movie was like a sign of like Marvel pulling an old trick deep in their bag and like pulling it off once again, because this is what they did with Guardians of the Galaxy and other unknown characters. So they've gotten us on board again.
They got me.
Yeah.
Hook and sinker, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Any last
Especially for
thoughts?
Valentina. Especially for Valentina.
Yeah, especially for
All right. Any last thoughts, Candy?
No, I think we did pretty good.
All right. Sounds good. So thank y'all for watching. That was Goldfish.
Boys.
I don't know if I'm supposed to go along with that.
Thank you, Kenny, for
Perfect.
joining us. We appreciate. We can't wait to see you in that next time. then.
Yeah.
So
Well-
the next one will be Fantastic Four, right?
Or Superman if y'all are gonna do it.
Absolutely.
Okay.
That's just
yeah.
Superman.
So do you know as much about DC as? Marvel?
I know the slate. I don't know how to feel about it. I'm waiting for Superman in order to like
Deep
collect all
dive?
my thoughts.
Okay,
Yeah.
gotcha.
Sounds
Cool.
good. All right. Thank you.
It was great.